Okay. Hello and welcome to Waadaplaya, this Salah Cup Kiska series where we'll review day one of IPL 2021. TSCK, as we'll call this series, literally means this year who will be the winner. And going by the looks of how the game went today, it could well be Salah Cup Namade. For the opening game, we had defending champions Mumbai Indians take on the team for Bangalore, Royal Challengers Bengaluru at Chennai. I'm Sanjay with resident experts Vishak, Mithun, Akash with me. And we have a very special guest, a gorilla, Nakul Pandey with us. Nakul, welcome to the show.
Hi, Sanjay. Thank you for having me.
So we are streaming this live on YouTube and Facebook. So if you're watching this live, do give it a thumbs up, drop in a comment, reaction, question, and we'll try and take them as many as possible during the course of this discussion. So Nakul, you've been commentating on the entire game. How was your experience? Did you enjoy this classic opening game, a thriller of a game between Mumbai and RCB?
I did, yeah. The opening stages of the IPL delivering again. We had a phenomenal start to the tournament last year, and it looked like today was going to better it. We were genuinely thinking that the opening game of the tournament might go to a super over at one point, but it was a fantastic game of cricket. It's a curious pitch. I'm not quite sure whether the pitch was misbehaving or not, whether it was the odd one was just sticking in the wicket a little bit, but it made for a very, very good game. And I think that was a game that RCB could easily have lost a few years ago, and probably would have done. But they seem to have, on very limited evidence, have filled a few of the gaps that they've had over the last few years. And I thoroughly enjoyed the game.
AB de Villiers coming in at number 5. I thought, are they going nuts because they had two inexperienced batsmen at the top, and then AB de Villiers coming behind Glenn Maxwell, who's done literally nothing for the last couple of years in the IPL. And I was like, okay, is it going to be left for too late? What did you make of that move?
I think there'll be some flexibility between the two of them as we go through the tournament. You might see AB up at 3 at some points. You might see him coming in below Maxwell at some points, but RCB also aren't quite at full strength yet. With obviously Padikkal is still coming back from COVID. Finn Allen's only just arrived in the country, so there'll be some flexibility there. I quite like it. I think that I think de Villiers' proven strength at the death means that, and the fact that he doesn't take a long time to get going means that you're not wasting him as you might be with somebody else. I like the idea of giving Glenn Maxwell a little bit more time and allowing him to attack the middle overs, which he does. And it slightly breaks up. I think the RCB's issue for the last few years has been that they've massively relied on Kohli and de Villiers, and then there's been a massive tail off. The fact that they've got Maxwell in there, either breaking them up or backing them up, allows. We didn't really see it today with Kohli, certainly once the power play ended, but allows Kohli and de Villiers to be bat a little bit more freely, to express themselves a little bit more, and I think you could see that today. So I didn't really have too much of a problem with it. Washington up at the top of the order, fine. It was worth a go, as I say, with those availability issues. And Rajat Pati, though, that's where he bats in domestic cricket. If he was going to succeed, that's where he was going to bat. He's coming off a good domestic season. Again, why not? He failed quickly, at least. Washington. I could see what Washington was trying to do. He was trying to sort of pinch hit at the top of the order, as it were. He was just trying to hit the ball a little bit too hard. It was worth a go. But I don't have a problem with de Villiers coming in at 5. I don't think you're wasting him in that sense.
Yeah, I'm going to quickly take a couple of comments from Facebook and YouTube. So AB de Villiers, the match winner, absolute match winner. Without him, I don't know what the RCB fans would have done over the years. He's come back and win games for RCB from dead situations in the past. Harshal Patel, a favorite topic, Harshal Patel's fifer, absolutely brilliant. That's the first time ever in 13, 14 years of IPL that someone's taken a fifer against Mumbai. That was a brilliant trade from Delhi Capitals. Akash, is Salah Cup Namade? Looking bright today.
Definitely, is Salah Cup Namade. I mean, the start which we had right now, if we can maintain this momentum going, we should be able to win this cup. Of course, as Nakul mentioned, once Padikkal is back, Washi will perhaps move down the order, and then we'll have a more sorted kind of look to this particular team. But yeah, we'll definitely will not want to have so much heart attacks going on throughout the match, which we are currently going through. Should have been an easier win, but lots to improve still.
Mithun, has Harshal Patel solved all the death bowling problems? He got a bit of flack, got trolled on social media for RCB picking him over Saini, but he delivered.
Yeah, so it was really one of the advantage what we got here, and plus point for us going into the big tournament. The depth bowling was one of our concerns, and Harshal Patel and Jamieson came good for us and proved it that we have that bowlers now to contain runs in the depth.
Vishak, an ex Mumbai Indians fan, switched on to RCB. You enjoyed the game today?
Definitely enjoyed the game, and I enjoyed it more that RCB won it. So, and it was a very good performance initially, because if you see the way Mumbai started, and for the first 9 overs, they went for over 9 runs and over. And then the way RCB brought things back, especially at the death, when Harshal Patel was bowling those slower balls, the cutters and the fuller ones. And that final over, just giving 1 run and picking up 3 wickets was exceptional.
Nakul, do you think Mumbai Indians will potentially struggle on the low pitches of Chennai and Delhi? Because you did allude to the fact that are the pitches playing differently? Because I think in Delhi and Chennai traditionally the lower wickets will have more of 150, 160 game, whereas Mumbai, where no one is playing home games, so Mumbai may potentially have lower strolls to defend and protect themselves.
Yeah, I was thinking about that going into the tournament, is that their first 9 games are on slower spinning wickets, and they don't have a truly elite spinner. Rahul Chahar is a good bowler. Krunal Pandya is a good bowler. They've got backup in Jayant Yadav and Anukul Roy who come in, but they don't have an elite spin bowler. And that could, and maybe it doesn't suit some of their batting. I still think the batting they've got more than enough on slower pitches to be able to get good scores on the board. And when you have bowlers of the class of Bumrah, and I thought Bolt bowled very well, and look, if Marco Jansen continues to learn at the rate that he did in this game, then that's a great thing. And there's a lot of backup as well. You'd expect Adam Milne to play a big part of this season. Nathan Coulter-Nile maybe will play a part. Jimmy Neesham, who's quite good on slower wickets. So I think it's something for them to work out. But I think there's enough for Mumbai to be able to, maybe they won't be quite as dominant as they have been. Also bearing in mind they have tended to start slower. But I think you don't want to be. Mumbai got themselves into a position, I think was it 2015, where they lost 6 of the first 7 games or something, and then won the tournament. Obviously, you don't want to be putting yourself in that position, but it is a little bit of hope that for the rest of the tournament that they might be able to keep Mumbai in check through the first part of the tournament before they move to the slightly quicker pitches.
And Mumbai have a tradition of losing the first games. Asked that question. I think Rohit Sharma has also mentioned that fact. Taking a few more comments. Maxwell in the middle order brings in a perfect balance for RCB. Mumbai Indians fell short by 20-30 runs. Maxwell getting 2 sixes in his first game for RCB. He did not get even 1 6 last year. Has he put all the demons in UAE behind him, Nakul?
Last year was a curious one. There's no reason that shouldn't have worked for Punjab, having Maxwell and Pooran in the middle order. There's no reason on paper why that shouldn't have worked. He's got a great record in the UAE. He's a good hitter of spin. It just didn't work for whatever reason. And it is extraordinary that Glenn Maxwell could go through an entire season without hitting a 6. And I think he really smartly targeted the first ball of the over twice in a row. If we see a bigger 6 than that this tournament, than the one that he hit basically onto that tower on the roof at Chepauk, then we'll be going somewhere. Then the reverse sweep a little bit later. Maxwell's doing what Maxwell does. I mean, he's a truly elite middle order hitter and has been for a long time. I'm incredibly well disposed towards Glenn Maxwell. He's one of those cricketers that I find myself wanting to succeed. And if we ever get to see him and de Villiers batting at their best or close to their best together, then it'll be a treat for everyone. I mean, there was a perfect thing of, even if you don't like the IPL as much as I do and as much as we do, I don't see how you could fail to enjoy Jasprit Bumrah bowling to AB de Villiers and Glenn Maxwell. I mean, that's just class.
Yeah, that Yorker which de Villiers hit inside out almost for 6, that was absolutely brilliant. Akash, you need to help me out. What's this comment?
Okay, so Ajay Kembonu's comment out here. Andigu, Indigu, Endindigu, Apad Bandava, de Villiers. So for our non-Kannada fans, basically, so what he means here is that we are literally going to build a temple for Evu de Villiers. We are going to build a temple for him, and hopefully, to worship him, we'll dedicate this year's cup to him as well. I mean, that man has bailed us out multiple times, and still bailing us out despite not being in international cricket as of now. I don't know. I mean, I was of the opinion that this might be his last year in RCB, but now I have second thoughts. Probably next year we will again see him with RCB.
Yeah, has de Villiers actually batted since last year's IPL? I don't think he has he?
No.
Absolutely, he hasn't. He hasn't.
It's yeah, I don't know. They need to just get him into the World T20 side. 2 years, he could make such a big difference for South Africa. Vishak, Kyle Jamieson, when we picked up the team in our previous show, we did not have him in our 11. He bowled really well, and looks like he's proving everyone wrong.
Yes, he was actually the surprise package. Before this, if you see the previous T20 series, he bowled 15 overs for over 170 runs. So that is where we thought he would struggle on these pitches, mainly in the Indian pitches, and he wouldn't be performing that good. But today he bowled cleverly. He bowled those cutters. He banged it onto the pitch. And the way he got Surya Kumar Yadav out as well, even though it was a short ball, it was banged a little bit slower. And that's where Surya Kumar Yadav got fooled, because with his height, he gets that extra bounce. So, yeah, he was a little handy, and it was definitely a surprise. But I would still say I'm still not convinced enough, and I would want him to prove in much more matches before he becomes a regular.
Well, he's had a great start. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I thought the way that RCB used him was very clever, and Siraj as well, who's had, for all of his, the fact he's clearly a very high-class, first-class and test bowler, has struggled in IPLs previously. But I thought the way that Kohli used them was very clever. Only one over for each of them at the death, bowling mostly in the power play and in the middle overs. Like Jamieson could be a really good option for that sort of middle order enforcer role, a little bit like England used Liam Plunkett in the ODIs in the run-up to the World Cup. And then, if they can they find a way of getting Kane Richardson and him into the same 11? I mean, that would work out really well, because Kane Richardson's a proper death bowler. But I thought Jamieson was very impressive getting the ball to skid through at pace today. And bowling at the death as well, which I haven't really seen him do before. Siraj as well, bowling it over at the death, which is not something he's done very well previously. So there's huge signs of not just of better planning and individual improvement from RCB.
Absolutely. Jamieson picked up the crucial wicket of Sky, which has been highlighted by one of our Facebook users. Suman Nag, just alluding to the fact that we've got 13 more games to go for RCB. And, this is basically a test of blood pressure for all the RCB fans. If this is how the tournament's going to go, which pretty much RCB makes dead games interesting as well. Mithun, heartbeat back in place?
Yeah, definitely. So whenever we watch RCB games, this is common and it's tend to happen, because they take us so closely, and we have to go through all the pressure. So luckily we finished on the winning side this time, and very happy with the way our bowling was today. Especially, as I said, the depth bowling is one of the huge plus for us in this tournament, and it will be a very good going into the next games.
Another comment is how this was a last ball thriller. Another comment about Siraj. Nakul, come to think of it, last year you wouldn't have thought that Siraj would be picked ahead of Saini. Saini was pretty much the go-to guy in terms of preference, but he seems to have gained a lot of confidence from the Australian series, that landmark Australian series, and he seems to be the number one choice now.
Confidence as well, and yes, for sure, and also some good planning as well. He wasn't trying to bowl test match lengths at the death. He wasn't trying to hit top of off, which has led him to be hittable. He was banging it in a little bit shorter. He was bowling a little bit fuller. He was staying out of that length zone, that sort of slot zone, and I thought that was very smart. And I think the usage of that was very smart. So the planning there, his ability to execute it there, and having the confidence to back that up. I mean, Saini will play a part in this tournament as well. Again, someone else who can bowl in those middle overs and is a slight better, in theory, death bowler than either Saini than Siraj or Jamieson. And obviously his pace will be a a significant factor. I mean, RCB have a genuinely quick attack, if not, I don't know how good it is per se, and we'll need to see a little bit more, and we'll need to dig into the advanced stuff a little bit more. But they have some pace in the attack as well, and as well as the smarts of someone like Kane Richardson. I'm still not. I don't know if this play all of the all-rounders tactic will work. It seems a slightly strangely constructed batting lineup, but there's certainly enough in there for RCB fans and the RCB management to think that they should be challenging for the playoffs this year, and it won't be quite such a disaster as it was the previous 3 years before last year.
Yeah, Suman highlighting the fact that Nitin Menon getting a decision wrong, Virat Kohli winning the toss, then someone else opening for RCB, Washington Sundar. We've been crying out loud that we need Washington Sundar at the top. So many different things happening and so many drop catches. What is happening? Is this going to be the year that everything changes? I wanted to check, Akash, whether you picked up Hardik Pandya not being able to throw from the boundary. One of the users on Facebook have commented that. Did you pick that up?
No, unfortunately, I couldn't pick that up.
Well, I noticed he was fielding, like normally he'd be fielding basically where the ball's going to go. He'd be fielding long on or deep mid-wicket or somewhere. He was often fielding at third man. I don't know that I didn't pick up that he wasn't able to throw, but he certainly wasn't in the positions you normally expect him to be in, and he didn't bowl today either. So maybe there's been a little bit of a setback. Look, I mean, if Mumbai only have Hardik Pandya as their batter, that's still plenty out of a cricketer. I'd say the same for with KKR playing on Sunday. I'd say the same for someone like Andre Russell. If he's not fully fit, don't try and make him bowl and don't try and make him field in power positions. Save him because he's good enough to win you a game with the bat, regardless of what he can do. But yeah, maybe there's a little bit of a niggle there. He's not quite the road back to full fitness is a little bit rocky. But there's a long tournament to go, and I think it's smart to manage him in that way, like they did with Chris Lynn. Like Chris Lynn can't dive because of his shoulder injury, so they put him in positions where he shouldn't need to. Ironically, he did to take the catch, but yeah, it's a little bit of it might be a little bit of a worry if this becomes a regular trend. It's a good spot by whoever noticed that, and I did spot too that he wasn't in his regular positions.
Yeah, I think he was throwing underarm. That's the other comment which
Yes.
someone's mentioned, and
Yes,
I can
actually he did this a couple of times. One was when particularly a 2 was converted into 3 when he threw underarm to Rohit Sharma and Rohit Sharma relayed the throw. So that if it was a normal throw, it could have been a run out because it was a relayed throw, and the initial throw was very slow to Rohit Sharma as well.
That's right. It was a real sort of gentle lob back to him.
Yeah.
So maybe he has some kind of shoulder thing, or it's how it is. He's had this back issue, and maybe you overcompensate in other parts of your body or whatever. It's something to keep an eye on, certainly as the tournament progresses. But as I say, if you only have Hardik Pandya able to bat, that's still a hell of a batter that you've got there.
Yeah, drop catches.
I'm not sure about Hardik, but his elder brother Krunal definitely almost did the damage for us. That excellent throw from the deep had 8 de Villiers run out in there. My heart was in the mouth. I was like, are we going to lose this from here?
That was a rocket arm. Mithun, what do you think of the Mumbai's newbie prospect Marco Jensen? Looks quite good. I saw that old picture from South Africa from a few years ago where I think he'd beaten Virat Kohli a few times, and that's probably the start of where the guys picked him up.
Yeah, definitely he's one of the bright prospect for this tournament. The way he bowled the last over proved that he's one of the players to watch out, because containing 7 runs, he almost did it. So that Yorker first ball he bowled to outside the off stump for AB de Villiers was really a good one. The way ABD was hitting the balls, he could have cleared it if it was in his line. So he bowled it with good control, and he was prepared into this game. So he's one of the players to watch out. Yes, Mumbai scouting team have again done a very good job in picking such talent. So kudos to them. Yeah.
I'm not sure if anyone's picked up. I'm assuming Harshal Patel is the man of the match. I don't think whether it's updated or not. Nakul has to be a fair choice, I guess.
One would hope so. I was thinking at the end of the game, this would be a very easy game to give it to de Villiers or someone. But yeah, Harshal Patel turned the game at the end. That's the think it was 25 runs of the last 4 overs for 6 wickets. I think it was. It's the lowest for Mumbai since 2016. Okay, 4 of them came in the last over, and one of them was a run out. But even so, Harsha Patel bowled really well, ripped the heart out of the middle order. I thought the slower dipping Yorkers were excellent. It was really brave to bowl that full to Hardik Pandya. It's not something that many bowlers would have the guts to do, but he backed himself to nail it, and he did. He just got it to dip like a spinner beating a batter in the flight, and then bowling those balls short into the pitch to Ishan Kishan and to Karan Pollard. The in-swinging Yorker to get Marco Jansen just after missing out on the hat-trick ball was excellent, and well backed up as well by Jameson and by Mohammad Siraj. So there was a lot to like about the death bowling. When the slight there's a slight worry there about Chahal will have better days than he had today. Both he and Rahul Chahar had poor days. But yeah, Harsha was excellent today, and hasn't really this is he's been playing in the IPL for a very long time, but it's been a long time since he's been a significant part of any team. I think he's only played more than 5 games twice in a season. And I don't know if he'll play so many this season because RCB have a lot of options to fill those other slots. Lots of young domestic talent, lots of overseas bowlers to try and fit into the team. But if he's someone who can come in and do a role and do a job when necessary, that's important. RCB have been let down by their weakest links in the last few years rather than the strongest links. It's that backup. You don't have to worry about Kohli. You don't have to worry about De Villiers. Maxwell, I know he had a bad year last year, but he's world class. But what's left after that? And what's the backup to that? I think this is true with a lot of teams this year. I think this is true of Rajasthan this year. I think this is true of a few other teams as well this year. In terms of it's how those weaker links and those squad players perform. And Harsha Patel has bowled superbly today.
Ajay highlighting, irrespective of who won, it's a great start to the season and for IPL. Hoping to see lots of these close games. Syed highlighting about ABD versus Bumrah. ABD seems to be getting the upper hand on that. Mithun?
Yeah, so no bowler can stand against ABD because he has the shots, everything in his bag, and he can play any kind of shots for against the bowler. So keeping that into mind, he winning twice is not a surprise, and he's definitely going to continue his form for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, the only health warning is this group which we have on Facebook. A lot of the people there commenting hardcore RCB fans. So anything they get over any of the defending champions or whatnot, they will latch onto it like anything. This RCB team has great batting depth and variety bowling option. We'll see what happens in the next few games. Add Padikkal and this will be the team to beat. I can't disagree on a day when they've beaten the defending champions. So yeah, this has been fantastic. So boys, what we'll do is we'll quickly look at what's coming up tomorrow. We'll spend a couple of minutes on that. So tomorrow what we have is just Dhoni's men versus Delhi Capitals. This will be absolutely mouth-watering encounter tomorrow. Nakul, what do you think? Dhoni versus Pant's team. What are you expecting? Any thoughts on them?
It's a nice little narrative there, isn't it, with Rishabh Pant? I wrote a piece for Guerrilla Cricket saying that I'm all in favour of Rishabh Pant being Delhi captain. I like that it underlines DC going back to their aggressive mindset. I thought they really struggled last year when they started losing a few games and then became very conservative. They played Rahane and Smith in the same 11, and they weren't being as aggressive. I think Rishabh Pant the last year looked inhibited. He's obviously blown that out of the water now. If he bats like Rishabh Pant bats and backs himself to do that, then there's a huge asset right there, and that's a couple of extra games won just there with Rishabh Pant alone. And he has captained before. He captained Delhi to the Ranji Trophy final. He captained quite well in I think it was the Vijay Hazare that they didn't do particularly well, but he himself did quite well. One thing for Delhi, obviously, they won't have Anrich Nortje or Kahisa Rabada tomorrow. Chris Wokes is a more than handy fill-in for one of those guys. A little bit of a worry about how they fill in both of them. Some talk about Tom Curran. Tom Curran's not been in very good form for the last year, really, since the IPL, the English summer of 2020, and recently he's really struggling for wickets and for economy. Akshar also is not available, we think, because of COVID. So they've lost a bit in the bowling. CSK are really hard to read. We just today they signed Jason Behrendorff as a replacement for Josh Hazlewood. If Behrendorff's available for this first game, which might be a bit of a push, then I think that's someone who can trouble Delhi. You know, Behrendorff has an excellent bouncer, excellent Yorker, very good in the power play, and is a nice sort of and is a nice option. But I mean, you know, CSK's bowling is not really the problem. They had too many bowlers to fit in last year. It's you know, Raina being back makes a massive difference, you'd think. I think a lot rests on Raina, and I think a lot rests on Jagdishan to replicate his domestic form in the IPL this year. If they can regularly get scores of 150, 160, they've got the bowling lineup to defend it. But I want to see Delhi go hard at it, to be really hyper aggressive. You know, Prithvi Shaw's been in outrageous form in the Vijay Hazare. I want to see him attacking the power play. I want to see Pant batting like Pant. I want to see Marcus Stoinis just let off the leash. And I think Delhi have the potential to blow quite a few teams out of the water and set targets that just aren't chaseable. I think there's so many. It's hard to see CSK being as bad as they were last year, but they are on a quick pitch. You know, they're playing at the Wankhede. I'm not sure it suits CSK that well. I would have Delhi slight favourites.
Yeah, the Dad's Army versus the Young Brigade. That'd be absolutely fascinating encounter. I've seen a lot of comments around which team do I support. I support everyone, guys. I support all the Indian players. I just want a new winner this time around. I can't stand the same teams winning again and again. It just dilutes the competition to me. So in my favorite or the list of teams who I would want to win is RCB, then Delhi Capitals and Punjab Kings, because they've never won a title. One thing which I wanted to ask Nakul here is, Nakul, today, although IPL is going on, there's one thing that's been trending all over India. That's Rahul Dravid. There's an ad which I'm guessing you've seen, blocking the road in Indiranagar. If you've seen it, give us what you think of that.
I'm not from Bangalore. My uncle used to live there, and having been stuck in a Bangalore traffic jam, I can well imagine that driving even Rahul Dravid to frustration. I thought it was superb. I thought the idea of it was excellent. I thought the way it ties in with the commercial principle is excellent, and surprisingly well acted. You don't always get athletes, even in India where you have a lot of commercial responsibilities. You know, athletes aren't always the best actors, but I thought Rahul Dravid really committed to it. I thought it was fantastic, and not in a cringeworthy way like you see with some ads. I thought it was really, really excellent. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah, I don't know who got Rahul Dravid to agree to do it. The last time the only time we've seen him angry was when Rajasthan Royals lost that game to Mumbai Indians and didn't qualify, and then he threw the cap, and then I think he went and said sorry to the cap as well. But Mithun, you enjoyed that? Sorry, Nakul.
No, I was just about to say it's a little bit like Justin Langer kicking the bin and then picking everything up.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Yeah. Sorry, Mithun.
Definitely, we felt funny, but very nice to see him acting because we have never seen Dravid doing such things all throughout his career. And I was imagining how many times they would have retaken the shoot because Dravid is not used to doing all those things.
Yeah, the only way to keep him calm is just get him a bat somewhere and he can knock the ball around. He'll probably get him calm. But yeah, that was fantastic. That was the highlight of the day, I thought, for everyone who glued in the television. Right, this has been fantastic. Nakul, before we let you go, just want to know what you guys are doing at Guerrilla Cricket for IPL and how our viewers can connect with Guerrilla Cricket.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, we're covering 32 games this tournament of the IPL. We can't cover all of them, unfortunately, because of resources. But including the game that's just finished today, we're covering 32 games. So we're doing. We did opening day today. We're doing every Sunday, which from next week on is all double headers. Every Tuesday and every Thursday. So there's a couple of Thursday double headers as well. And then we're doing every game of the playoffs. So the eliminator, the two qualifiers, and the final. You can. Watch along you can listen along at guerrillacricket.com. You can watch along with us. We have this nice graphics package and this nice green screen that you can see behind me on facebook.com/Crick Tracker India. and on Hot Mic as well. You go to hotmic.io. There's lots of details on our Twitter account, so follow us at Gorilla Cricket, which has the schedule of all the games we're doing, and it has how you can watch along, and you can tweet us live throughout the show and leave us comments on Facebook and Hot Mic and YouTube as well, on our the Gorilla Cricket YouTube channel, and we'll try and respond to as many as many of those as we can. So yeah, we'll have coverage of, as I say, every Sunday, every Tuesday, every Thursday, and all of the playoffs.
Fantastic, Nakul. I can vouch that you would absolutely enjoy listening to Gorilla Cricket. So, Nakul, we'll look to have you back on sometime mid IPL when you get time. So that'd be really appreciated.
Would be delighted to. Thank you very much.
And Mithun, Akash, and Vishak, enjoy the win, guys. This has been fantastic. And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in to watch this. Hopefully, you've enjoyed this discussion. Do send us your feedback, comments, suggestions about this coverage. And if you happen to like what we do, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Lastly, we hope to have you back for another match review. Till then, goodbye and thanks for watching.
Thank you so much, Sanjay.
Bye, guys.